Did you ever do murals?
No, not really. Yeah, because it was mostly just small stuff that I could keep in a bag.
Right.
When I did it, and I only did it. I don't even think I did it for a year.
Right.
It was.
But it was interesting. That whole process was interesting to you.
Yeah.
So then you started putting it in your paintings.
Yeah. Then I started taking these images because before it was just like random images that I liked.
Like
there's a lot of monkeys
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. The name I had started spray painting under was Zaius, which was Dr. Zaius from the Planet of the Apes movies. I'm really into Planet of the Apes, and I was just like, let me try to find a cool name, and so I used that name, and I was like, well, I'll just go with the monkeys theme. So I did a lot of monkeys and stuff, and
then what happened after that?
well, after that, I just kind of got tired of it. I was like, it's kind of scary going out really late at night.
No. When you started how did you put it into your artwork?
Oh, well, then I dropped the whole monkeys thing. I just it was because they were just random monkey images. But then I started thinking, well, what could I do with this? I started thinking about a lot of stuff from my childhood, a lot of toys and things like that. And one of the first paintings I did was the big wheel tricycle. And that one, I had a show coming up, and it was like in a little coffee shop. And I was just trying to figure out, like, well, what do I do? I don't really have anything really big, and was kind of figuring out. And that image actually came to me in a dream. I remember dreaming about this big wheel tricycle. And I was like, yeah, it looks really cool. It reminded me, like in my mind, like a car commercial. You know how they show the car at that really nice angle, and so that's kind of what I was looking for. I found an image, drew it up to the size I wanted, and it was perfect. I was like, this is the big wheel. And,
the big wheel.
Yeah, and I just thought it was like, it's really cool. I liked it.
So you started taking more and more
and
kind of
I
memories.
I got a real big response from that one painting, and I was like, well, maybe I'm onto something. Like, it's the stuff I wanted to do anyway, and I just was never sure that how people would respond to it. And, they were right there with me and stuff. So it's like,
well, there is something amazing about I think the combination of memories and that kind of very emotional impact you have on those, and then the stenciling being kind of harsh and rough about it. That it's like a nice contradiction.
well, I try to start with a really simple idea, and find the images that fit that, like the big wheel. I mean, it's really simple, it's really basic. I think that painting only had 2 colors on it. So it wasn't even like I colored the big wheel to the yellow, blue, and red scheme. There was just 2 colors, and so it just taking that idea, and it's kind of doing it in a really complicated way, which with stencils it would have been easier for me to probably just paint it, but it wouldn't have been the same effect that I wanted and stuff. So that's kind of how my style started developing. It's really more of how the effect of the actual image looks.
So now I've seen you do stenciling where the stencils are kind of put together so it almost makes a larger shape. And then I've seen you also do stencils where they're just singularly in the middle of a composition. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you work with both of those ideas?
Well, I think like the single images, I try to keep those small and use those small images to compose like a larger scale.
Oh, so if you're doing
piece.
a larger scale,
yeah.
they become this composition.
They become part of it, and also kind of like part of the pattern. I like using my image to become the pattern. I was playing around with that for a while too, because I use these lace backgrounds in a lot of my work.
And those lace backgrounds come from?
Those are my grandma. Those really represent my grandma, who was always really influenced. She was a major influence in what I'm doing. She was the first one to really expose me to art and everything. So she was always my biggest supporter So that's kind of, I like to keep that lace in there as much. And so I've done a lot of work with the lace.
That's great.
And everything. So I try to keep that as much
and
as
so
possible.
those images as a composition become kind of a shape in the lace.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
I
cool.
try to do sometimes, because I have some really intricate stencils that if you layer them all over, it almost creates that lace effect.
Yeah.
I have this one that I did a while back of an old man. He had this big scruffy beard and everything. All these great wrinkles on his face. So all you saw were these two eyes just popping out.
Uh-huh.
And I just patterned his whole face, and it got really lost. Like if you were really far away, you kind of didn't see it, but once you got closer, all these faces, started coming out. And it was really neat. It was kind of cool how the image started taking on its own thing.
That's great. What is coming up next in your imagery?
Well, that's the thing. I'm still trying to figure that out. I was working on this series of kind of self-portraits, the one where I'm wearing the lucha mask, and that's still taken off of the Zayas character that I had started when I was doing graffiti, but making it something larger. So I've got the two pieces that I worked on, and I'm just still trying to come up with some more images on that.
Weren't you going to appear as Zayas for us in an exhibition?
Yes, I did
hope
it.
that
I
still
did
happened.
at the opening. And
Oh, you appeared as Zayas. That was Zayas?
yes,
Oh, I thought that was David Almaguer.
that was a little bit of both.
Okay.
That's the whole Zayas character
Right.
that they created with his own little mask.
So you may be doing more of those kind of portrait
Yeah, those
characters.
I'm working on those and stuff. It's just trying to find the images for that.
What I love about that, David, is that what you were thinking about as a child is real, and the ideas that was circling in your head as a child is really what you're working on now. And I tend to see that more and more with artists, is that if you really ask them what did they do when they were kids and what were their interests, is somehow that is threaded in their work.
Yeah.
And that's really great, because that means you're on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I always, it's who I am. And that's kind of why I was doing these self-portraits now, was the Zayas character. I always thought even my paintings before were self-portraits. They were just of things that were in my life, though.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for me not to just try to kind of do, I guess, kind of a self-portrait. I'm wearing a mask, so all you see are like eyes in my mouth, really. But
you've put different bodies
yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
and it's still, and that's taken from my childhood, like Superman and Han Solo, or the first two in that series, but just with my head.
Do you haven't done Batman yet?
No, I haven't done Batman yet. I'm just trying to figure out a cool way, because he's mostly covered up anyway. I don't know how to put ears on a lucha mask for that look.
It's just glue.
Interesting.
With duct tape.
But so that's kind of the thing. It's a lot of stuff that I remember as a kid. It's real pop culture kind of things. Just I love movies and comic books and things like that. So those are a lot of things that I reference in my work.
Right. Things that are directly part of the popular culture of
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah, and of my life. Sometimes it might be a reference people might not get, but it's something that I.
What is a reference people haven't
I
gotten?
don't know. It's a lot of Star Wars stuff. I try to calm down on the Star Wars references, although I had to do the Han Solo one.
That's a good one.
So, but
Well, thanks, David.
thank you very much.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
It's been great to see your stuff. Thanks.